Hello, so basically I did a presentation recently on my small slideshare PowerPoint about basically why a short film is important. Unfortunately, the footage has now been deleted by accident, so I thought I'd just upload this video just as a way of showing you basically what I discussed in the PowerPoint. So basically, because I'd already done a PowerPoint based on my ideas and all that sort of thing, what I've decided to do is kind of focus more on how the short films are important to institutions and audiences. So on the first slide that I've used, I talk about how I did do a previous presentation talking about the codes, conventions of the genre which I've selected, which I've now decided will be sci-fi, and I've kind of refined it to a subgenre of apocalyptic future, which I will get into later in some other posts, as you'll see in the film analysis. So what I've said basically is that I described how it's challenging to think about how I will be using sci-fi film, because a lot of the time you need the right resources and the right equipment, and fundamentally you need a lot of money and capital to invest in doing that sort of thing. But I'm determined to use the resources and these facilities to my best ability, and use what I have in order to produce an effective film. That is key reason why I won't be doing some sort of space theme, because it's just not possible with the budget I have. And it could either go successful or it could turn out a complete disaster, but at least I've had a go. It'll basically develop my experience. So basically, two institutions, what is most salient and important about short films is how they allow companies to promote a full-length feature film. So as an example, I've used Doggle Together, which was sort of a preliminary short film to Warp Films' Tyrannosaur, which had an amazing amount of success for a low-budget feature, which was also a British independent film. And for a social realism film, that was vitally important that they were able to get that success. So basically what they did is they used the short film, which did receive awards such as, I think I might have named them or might not. So they use short films to basically get an idea of the sort of critical acclaim that the feature film might get. So if the short film didn't become a success, then that means that the money wouldn't be wasted on investing in a full-length feature film. Fortunately, that wasn't the case. It also builds hype, and that's another aspect why short films are important to institutions, because they allow basically this kind of access to some content which will basically grab the audience's attention and kind of reel them in a bit more. As for audiences, in a similar way, it is fundamentally to create hype, and they are often used as a precursor to full-length films. By creating them, the audience can also be interested in the short film and therefore feel supportive of following them and the progress made on the full-length feature film. And so basically the benefit here is that the consumer basically receives information about a possible full-length feature film, which is exciting at the end of the day. And essentially, basically, audiences will be looking for something exciting, and short films do offer that. So the only exception to the benefit I have outlined, though, is in most cases institutions aren't the only ones creating short films, and a lot of the time now we find that people use platforms such as YouTube and Vimeo to post their own short films. So now amateurs can be filmmakers with instant access to a global audience, and so they can create films with award-winning potential and therefore creating a profit for themselves. So that is, in a way, the idea of being a prosumer that is benefiting the audience, because they are actually making the films and earning money from it, just like production companies. So yeah, that was basically what I described in my presentation. I also answered a question based on the target audience. I also described how my target audience would probably be 13 plus, just because the content, in the way I have got swear words in it. Not a terrible amount of them, just kind of the odd one or two. Because I've already written a script, so I've kind of planned that out sort of in my head already. And also what I'm planning to do is I've also come up with a concept for my own film, which is why I have written the script, and it's basically the idea that there will be a protagonist and an antagonist, and there'll be one that's always going to be a protagonist-antagonist force, 2 protagonists, 1 female, 1 male, so it's going to be a very typical partnership in terms of there's going to be like a love relation there, but because I've only got 5 minutes to play with, we only get a hint of it, that the guy likes the girl. And my characters are called Alicia and Michael, and the idea is that they live in an apocalyptic future where a new drug called the Okenda has been introduced. And what's happened is it's been introduced to make people happy, and it first started with some of the people higher up in authority, and it was basically kind of trying to eradicate the idea of stress, sadness, depression, all them sort of thing, and anger as well, to make people feel happy. But rather than kind of making people happy, it kind of takes a turn for the worse and people become really psychotic. I did do some research on mental illnesses, and I was going to produce my own mental illness and write about it in the script, which will be mentioned in the film. However, I thought it would be better if I kind of went on my own concept, just because for me it did chip away at your kind of my resolve, just kind of figuring out that, sort of them mental thing is. My inspiration is basically the Hunger Games, because the idea of apocalyptic future, and I've kind of taken inspiration about this kind of happiness thing from a Doctor Who episode I watched once, and what they would do is they would use patches to make people feel happy, or any other emotion such as sadness, and instantly when you put it on your skin it would affect you in different ways, so making you either emotionally stable, emotionally unstable, and that's kind of the concept for that. So that was basically what I talked about throughout the presentation, and I hope you found that informative. So yeah.